It's the Raymond Simms Show on the Coliseum Sports Network.
Good morning, it's the Raymond Simms Show here on the Coliseum Sports Network. A beautiful November morning here at Coliseum headquarters in Chicago. We hope it's a beautiful day wherever you are. And remember, even when it's raining, even when it's storming, it can still be a beautiful day if you make it so. I'm Raymond Simms, the title person, whatever you call it, of this show, and I'm glad that you're joining me today. You can join me on social media at Simms Coliseum on Twitter and on the Simms Coliseum Facebook and Tumblr page. Just type in, you can Google it, Simms Coliseum Facebook, Simms Coliseum Tumblr. You'll be able to find me, no problem. Of course, it is Monday, so it's the beginning of a new week, which is wonderful and all, but of course it also means that I go Monday morning quarterback on everything that happened on Sunday. And as I have made very clear in past episodes, due to proximity, I've had a very good pulse on what's happening with Chicago sports as far as results. I can't tell you what's going on in the minds of players or anything like that, but I see what happens because of blackout rules and TV packages. I'm only really able to watch the Chicago sports teams without having to pay a premium for them. So I tend to bring up a lot of Chicago sports on here, even though this is, for all intents and purposes, a nationwide general sports program. So yesterday night, you were able to see nationwide what we have been seeing pretty much for the past several weeks, essentially. And that is the embarrassment that is the Chicago Bears. And I've joked about them, and that won't stop. The jokes will just keep coming, especially at this juncture. And I've talked about how they haven't done well, and how the constituency of Bears fans is none too pleased with the performance on the field. But guys, like even when they gave up 50 plus to the Patriots, it was not this bad. And what I'm referring to is the Bears lost 55-14 to the Green Bay Packers in Green Bay on Sunday night last night. And that was bad. And the thing is, the game was over by the time I changed to it. My viewing schedule was as follows, and I'm sure that many of you at home have also used this schedule as well, and good on you. I like to watch the Fox primetime lineup because I like to laugh and be happy. So I figured I came into Packers week not expecting the Bears to win. I figured that they were going to lose, maybe by 20 at the most, like 20 at the most, but like somewhere in the range of like 10 to 20 points. It was going to be a decisive win, one where you run out the clock in the final, minutes. But I didn't expect them to lose this bad. So I watched. Let me finish my point here. I watched the Fox primetime lineup, and I watched the shows, Simpsons, and what came on after that? Some show came on. Brooklyn Nine-Nine, Family Guy, and then Mulaney came on, and that wrapped it up. So once Mulaney was over and the news came on, I don't watch the news. I read the news to follow the news, but I don't watch the news because it's so depressing, especially in this particular market. I changed to NBC, and I probably would have done better just watching the news than watching the game. I've been following along on my phone somewhat, but I still, by the time I changed to the game, I did not catch on to the gravity of what was taking place on the field. I think and there's probably somebody who's much more on it than me in terms of real time, in terms of the game. But I think by the time I changed to the game, it was 35-0. And I'm saying that very carefully because I'm looking at the box score from the recap of the game, just trying to pinpoint when it was that I changed, to the game from Fox. And I think it was around that point. Because I don't remember seeing the Eddie Lacy 56-yard pass. The first touchdown I remember witnessing was Randall Cobb's 18-yarder. So so I came into the game and it was the Packers were already spot at 35 points. And all I could do was just laugh, really. Like, I know that there's a lot of enraged Bears fans across the country because the fan base is nationwide, because people who live in Chicago move and go other places. We're very mobile people, Chicagoans. You probably know one in your workplace right now. Say hi to them. Hug a Chicagoan. They'll need it. I know there's a lot of Bears fans that are upset, as they should be. They have every right to be. I'm not here to scoff at people who are mad, because you are in the right. You're doing the right thing by being angry. You should be angry for something that you pay for something that you emotionally invest in. And I'm upset too. I'm not happy. I'm not pleased with the performance. But just to be this bad, you hate to put it on other teams and other fan bases or whatever. But this is something that you expect out of other teams that have been perennially bad as of late. Not to say that these teams were never good at one point, like the Jaguars and the Raiders. And you make your Jaguars jokes, and you make your Raiders jokes, and you make your Rams jokes, and then to see see it happen to your team, and then especially a team with such an extensive history, and the Rams followed that category too. Maybe not in their city, but they still have the same thing too, where they're not in good shape, and they have such a historic history of winning. It's really unfortunate to watch. Thing about it is that the Rams, though, kind of have an excuse. They lost their star quarterback due to injury, and he's been injury prone, but he's still very good when he plays. They have an excuse. The guy in Chicago is fine, as far as I know. He's not suffering. It's not like the 2010 NFC Championship where it turned out that he had a really bad injury. It is, as far as we know, that he's fine. Maybe his ego is hurt, perhaps, but in terms of physical health, he is in good enough shape to be the starting quarterback for the team, and yet he's out here playing horribly. And we can't, but of course, there's a lot of blame to go around. You can't pinpoint it all on Jay Cutler. Jay Cutler cannot throw away points, at least not in most cases. He did throw I thought he threw a pick six. He might as well have, but apparently he did not. But in most cases, unless you throw a pick six, the quarterback is not going to score points for the other team. And since Cutler did not, he threw interceptions, and they were bad ones, just awful. 2 of them, to be exact. Since he didn't throw any pick sixes, though, it's really on the defense. The defense has just been so bad. Like college football, bad. Like Big 12 defense, bad. Just, you don't give up 50-plus points in the NFL, and you don't give up 50-plus twice, and you don't give up 50 coming off of a bye week. They prepared. They prepared to get mollywopped. They game planned and strategized for 2 weeks to get stomped out by a rival. Usually, even when you're a bad team, we saw this happen with the Rams and the 49ers about a week or 2 ago. Even if you're a bad team, you get up for rival week. Rather it's the Packers or the Vikings. Those are really the big 2. I think the Lions lately too. It's just been one big angry NFC North. But pretty much any division rival that you play, you probably, even if you go out there and prepare every day, you prepare your hardest for your rivals, for the division that you're in. Not only because those wins are important, but because you play them twice. You're all trying to get the same division championship, and it just breeds that type of rivalry and competition that you want to see. Not last night. You go in thinking that they're going to lose, but not as bad as they did. You figure it's the Patriots who are just hitting their stride, and it's just a bad game. I mean, there's a number of teams that give up a bunch of points, and 51 just happened to be historic. 38.5 just happened to be historic against the Patriots, but you still figure that that's one game. They could at least turn it around. They could at least make it competitive, even if they're not a good team. But man, 55-14. What's the stat that they've been trotting out is that the Bears have been outscored in the first half of the last two games, 80-7. They are practically a FCS school going up against just big time competition. It's almost like they're Eastern Illinois, and in the past 3 weeks, but in the past two games, they've taken on just big schools like not they don't even have to be good ones, but like Boston College. Actually, Boston College has done pretty well as of late. But, they've taken on Boston College, and they've taken on Wisconsin, and they're Eastern Illinois. That's what the score has looked like pretty much. And it's really embarrassing. It's really sad. The one thing that I am looking out for this week is that I don't know if this is if a lot of teams do this or not, but a lot of the players on the Bears have a lot of speaking engagements. Jay Cutler has a show on the ESPN affiliate here, as does Brandon Marshall. I think sometimes they interchange them on which days they are, but they both have, they both talk and go to like live remotes and like show up there to talk about the game before. And Kyle Long, I think he fills in. I don't know if he actually has his own like specific spot there. And you have Brandon Marshall, who does Inside the NFL. In this first hour here in Chicago of the midday shows, or of the late morning show on one of the stations, Robbie Gould was on. So a lot of players on this team do a lot of talking during the week. And I want to see the reactions, but specifically what their reactions will be. I'm going to talk about that right after a quick break here. It is a football and basketball filled Monday. I'll let you know that now. But it's going to be a good day. We're going to have a good time after I'm done venting about the Bears. It's the Raymond Simms Show on the Coliseum Sports Network. Raymond Simms Show here on the Coliseum Sports Network. Just went ahead and decided to take a quick break before I got into the next topic. I do have a tangent that I want to go on here before I forget about it, though. The Fox Sunday primetime lineup that I enjoy so much that I'm sure a lot of people in my age bracket enjoy very much. It's males 18 to 35, you know, that whole money demographic that the advertisers go through and stuff like that. I'm sure that they're all bought in, but it is a lineup for everybody, so I hope everybody watches and enjoys. It's for those who don't know, it's a comedy lineup. It has historically consisted of cartoons up until this year. Ending this year, they have been calling it animation domination because it was just 4 cartoons just in succession. But this year they added 2 live action shows, live existing people, and that is Brooklyn Nine-Nine, which was moved from, I don't even remember what day it was originally on, and Mulaney, which is a new sitcom starring one of my favorite comedians, though I worry about its long-term prospects. I'm very concerned, but I hope it's getting better for people. I hope the ratings are good enough that it keeps going so that it can develop into whatever it's developing into. And then Brooklyn Nine-Nine, I just want to say, whoever moved Brooklyn Nine-Nine from its original spot to where it is now deserves a raise, because that was a good move on their part. It's perfect for that spot. The humor is about the same. It's just people actually doing stuff as opposed to animators. But I think it all still works out. So I like this lineup, and it's good. It's going to switch around a little bit because Bob's Burgers is another cartoon that they do. It's going to have to figure into that rotation at some point. But otherwise, I'm very much pleased with continue subscribing to that lineup that they have now. Okay, just wanted to get that out of the way before I get back into the Bears talk. Basically, what I said in the first segment is that it was embarrassing. It was very embarrassing. It's worse than people thought it was going to be. People knew that the Bears were going to go up to Green Bay and lose, sure, but to just lay down the way that they did, it's unfortunate, and a lot of people are frustrated in this town, and everybody just wants to fire everybody on the team and in the organization because they're clearly not doing their jobs as professional football players. And for all of I do want to get ahead of this just in case somebody else says this to you. If you're one of these people that are venting about the Bears and people want to say that, you're not out there on the field, just tell them that you may not be, but these players get paid to play competently. It's not like you're mad and telling these football players to jump through hoops or to play through injury or to do something that is impossible or not in the best interest of that person. You're telling them to play competitive football. You want them to play competitive football. You are paying them and you're giving money to the NFL so that all of the teams play to the best of their abilities every day. And with all of the talk that the Bears were doing during the training camp and all the expectations that people had for the Bears in the preseason, this team is not playing to the best of their abilities. That's something that has bothered me, is that the talking point out of Hallis Hall today, coming out of that last game, is that we're not a very good team right now. That bothers me, and that ticks me off and insults my intelligence. To say, hey, we're just not a very good team right now. Are you seriously going out there and being down on yourself, even though you have some of the best skill position players in the NFL? Do you know how many of these quarterbacks out here that are struggling would love to have the skill position players that they have? Do they realize that the defense may not have any known names, but should be more than capable of playing competently? And they're going to sit here and lie to me and say that this is not a very good team. This team was designed to be very good. This team was expected to fight for the NFC North title. Not necessarily win it. I think a lot of people had the Packers anyways. But to fight for it, to make it difficult, to maybe upset and get the conference title, but at the very least, get into the playoffs. I was going to say postseason, but that's a baseball term. To get into the playoffs. And yet you're sitting here and telling me that you're not a very good team. No, this is a very good team. This is a very good team that either does not care, which Robin Gold insists that, people aren't caring, but I see otherwise, or this team is a very good team that is being horribly coached. I think it's both. I think that there are players on this team that don't care. I think that there are players on this team that are being badly coached, horribly coached, and aren't listening to the coaches. Or they may be listening to the coaches, and the coaches are telling them stuff that doesn't make any sense, and then the players have to go out there and look embarrassed because the coaches are making bad decisions in terms of play calling, and you can't just go completely rogue all the time. It's a mess, basically, and what I'm looking for out of the Bears players during the week, when they do all their talking and do all their media hits and do all that stuff, and just spilling all the stuff and gossiping about your team and stuff and trying to analyze other teams when you don't have your house in order. I want to see how snippy, if there's any attitude from when they do these live hits or when they show up to these live remotes to do their quote-unquote shows. I want to see the attitude. Robbie Gold on the station that he went on earlier, just in the previous hour, he did a very good job of just being honest and being straightforward and being as candid as he could be without burning any bridges. He didn't catch an attitude or anything. He was just straightforward. I just didn't like that he said that they aren't a very good team, because I think they are. They're just not executing. So they are a good team. They're just screwing themselves over and shooting themselves in the foot. But for the most part, I appreciated Robbie Gold. I'm wondering, even Brandon Marshall, I think he can be very honest as well. And he's the one that does the most talking because he has two engagements, both with the ESPN affiliate here and with the Inside the NFL. He's not afraid to be candid, I know. When I refer to people getting snippy with the line of questioning they get during the week, it's Jay Cutler. That's the guy that I am focused on and ticked off about. That's the person I want to hear. I really want to hear if he wants to, catch an attitude after having two consecutively bad games. Like, even in the Patriots game, they were still able to pick up about 20-something points in over the course of that game. So it wasn't that the Bears' offense was a complete train wreck. It was just that it wasn't moving at the same pace of the points that the Bears' defense was allowing. But now they just laid an egg, pretty much, out there. I mean, you got one touchdown down the field to Brandon Marshall, and that was good. You throw a pass to your little buddy, that's nice. But it was 45-7 at that point. The other touchdown, the 14, comes from a Chris Williams 101-yard kickoff return, which is probably the only time in the history of the NFL that somebody returns a kickoff for 101 yards and nobody cares. So I feel sorry for Chris Williams for picking up a big accomplishment. It was actually a Bears record. There's Bears records that he broke doing that, but nobody cares. No one's concerned with that right now. So all that to say, the Bears offense was not there, and there's no reason for the star quarterback who is at the helm, who should know what he's doing, who's been in this league for a decade, should be catching an attitude with anybody. I wish he would. Oh, I wish he would. And the thing is, a lot of people are talking about trying to develop Jay Cutler into a type of quarterback, or that he's turning into this, or what he should become. People have a bad sense of time. Like, he's been around for 9 years, or 9 or 10 years. Like, this is it. This is all the Bears are going to get for years to come, too. because he's under contract for a very long time. I don't remember the specifics, but he's going to be under contract for a while. So we're back to Jeff George. We're just going to have fun with Jeff George. And he's going to throw a lot of interceptions, and he's going to be completely worthless, and then he's going to catch an attitude about it. So that's going to be fun. That's what Bears fans can look forward to. If you're a Chicago sports fan, you're probably not going to be happy with the next segment because another team got beat up too in a very important game as well. Just not as bad as the Bears, because that was historically bad. I'll talk about them after this break here. You're listening to the Raymond Simms Show on the Coliseum Sports Network. Raymond Simms Show on the Coliseum Sports Network. Just got done talking about the Bears for a little over 30 minutes. Pretty much. Or I think it was 30 minutes. I just happened to start a little on the late side there. But for the most part, Bears talk and not happy Bears talk. I just want to see how the week unfolds, what BS they'll spin coming out of Hallis Hall. Because there's really nothing else to say. I really wish that I wish they would kind of go into radio silence. I don't want to hear anything out of the team until they actually, decide to compete again, or until somebody's fired. The hot name on the hot seat is Mel Tucker, the defensive coordinator. That's kind of who people are wanting gone. There have been people here who have been calling for who didn't think he was a good hire, and they've been proven right. So there were people ahead of the curve. This isn't a new thing, but I'm sure those voices are getting a lot louder when that same defensive coordinator allows his unit to give up 50-plus points in 2 consecutive games, including one game coming off of a week of rest. They rested and game planned and strategized to get a beat down. So that was fun. Also, Chicago related, a lot of people like to throw this in Chicago sports news. The papers here cover this team, extensively because there's a lot of Chicago alumni and it's nearby. There's a train that goes out to their town a handful of times a day. So there are a handful of commuters that come into town from there. And I'm talking about Notre Dame and South Bend. They went out to Arizona. Went out there, the number 10 team in the nation, in a pivotal game. This was essentially a chance for both teams to solidify their playoff hopes. The winner, continues to be in the consideration for the college football playoff. The other team does not. They are pretty much out of the running because it's going to be hard for a team with 2 losses to make a case for spot in a 4-team playoff out of 120-something teams. And Notre Dame was on the wrong end of that. They lost 55-31. And what was for all intents and purposes, it was a rough game. And then it became a close game. And then it became a rough game again. But, hey, at least they competed through the whole game. Notre Dame never really gave up. They kind of just lost it at the end there. Just a huge run of scoring for Arizona State. But they still hung in there. They still gave their all for every play. And while the Notre Dame defense gave up 55, they scored 31. That's how it's done. If you're going to give up a bunch of points, at least try to score back some of them. Bears. Game started off simple enough. Notre Dame had a field goal, 46-yarder, to make it 3-0, and then the floodgates opened. And Arizona State scored 34 unanswered before Notre Dame was able to score just before the end of the first half. And then they started chipping away. They got a touchdown in the third and was able to hold Arizona State down. And then for the better half of the fourth quarter, they were able to chip their way back with 2 more touchdowns to put them within 3. And with 6:37 left in the fourth, Notre Dame had a chance. But then Taylor Kelly happened. For the most part, he scored a touchdown to make it 41-31, a huge touchdown pass. And then an interception return, a pick six, made it 48-31. And then to finally put it away, Taylor Kelly runs in 55-31, which is your final score. So a very rough game for Everett Golson, 22 of 41, 446 yards, put up a lot of yards, but he threw 2 touchdowns and 4 interceptions. So it was a rough game for Everett Golson. Taylor Kelly, on the other hand, fared much better. Only had to throw 28 passes in the whole game, threw 3 touchdowns and only 1 interception. This was a very important game for both teams, and they fought as if it was. But Arizona State at home in Arizona, in the Arizona heat. I understand it's not the summer, but it's still a difference in terms of temperature and game condition. Arizona State was just made for that type of weather. They were able to play fairly comfortably. I guess the defense didn't play so comfortably. They gave up 31. But Arizona State just knew what time it was, and they went out there and they played a good game of football in front of a home crowd. Some great numbers from DJ Foster, 21 carries for 120 yards. When his name was called, he came through. Didn't even get a touchdown out of the deal. Kind of feel bad for him, but for the most part, he went out there and delivered when he needed to. I think in addition to his reception and 10 yards off that reception, he would have netted you about 14 points in fantasy in a PPR league, which I love. I love PPR leagues. I think they're great. But DJ Foster had a big game despite not scoring a touchdown. 3 different Arizona State receivers got touchdowns: Cameron Smith, Jalen Strong, Demario Richard. And they all had very efficient receiving games. Cameron Smith had 4 receptions for 67 yards. Jalen Strong had 5 receptions for 58 yards. Demario Richard had 3 receptions for 51 yards. When their name was called, they really came through. There was some big numbers on the Notre Dame side as well. But like I said, Everett Golson threw 446 yards in a losing effort. So, of course, a lot of the receivers got the better end of that. Really, it was a matter of Arizona State pretty much stifling the rushing game for Notre Dame. Their official total was 38 carries for 41 yards, but that's because Everett Golson on 16 carries rushed for -11. So let's factor that out there with some quick math here. And you pretty much get 22 carries for 30 yards. So still not good, but not as atrocious as that original number lets off. And Cam McDaniel, even though he only had 9 carries, he got 2 touchdowns out of the deal. Like I said, if you had Terry and Folston in your college fantasy league, I know that's not particularly as popular as pro fantasy league. Cam McDaniel, he vultured your touchdowns, bro. He took them all. And especially in a game where there was plenty of touchdowns to go around, even for the losing team. That's unfortunate. So Notre Dame is essentially out of it for all intents and purposes. We'll see what the college football playoff rankings are. Of course, the AP poll, that's still a thing that comes out. So they drop out of the top 10, or they don't. No, they're still in the top 10 for the playoff rankings. They're number 15 in the AP poll. So they're pretty much on the outside looking in. They're going to have to just pull off some very amazing definite wins because Notre Dame, they play an ACC schedule, but they're done with their ACC commitment. So it's really just a matter of having to beat up Northwestern. You have to beat up Louisville, and then you have to go to USC in Los Angeles, and you really have to prove to the college football playoff people that you still have a say in this race, that you are more than capable of being a competitive team in the playoff. But it is a very big climb, and like I said, a lot of people say that for all intents and purposes, Notre Dame is out of it. Arizona State, on the other hand, they move up to number 7 in the AP poll. And they have dates with Oregon State, Washington State, before having to face rival Arizona. So they have 2 pretty easygoing games, comparatively easygoing games, before they have to rev up one more time for a big contest against Arizona. And that'll be another huge statement for Arizona State to have to go in there and try to pull off a win. Arizona State currently number 17 in the AP poll, 19 in the college football playoff rankings pre their revelation tomorrow. So a big win for Arizona State, a big loss for Notre Dame. But hey, even though they gave up 50 plus, at least they tried. That's really what I was trying to drive home here. We'll take a quick break here and then come back with some more sports talk. It's the Raymond Simms Show on the Coliseum Sports Network. Raymond Simms Show here on the Coliseum Sports Network. Glad that you're joining me today. I very much appreciated all the followers out here that have chosen to subscribe to the Raymond Simms Show. Bought in early here. It's a one-man show. I'm trying to do the best that I can. I know not every day is the best quality of show, but I'm trying to give you something different or something some new perspective compared to all the other yammering heads out there. And, they got much bigger setups and much bigger coverage across the country. But the fact that you have decided to hang out with me for 2 hours a day or at your leisure when this is archived, I really appreciate that a lot, and I thank you guys for tuning in. Just continue to do so. It's only going to get better from here, and if you already like this, then just imagine how much more awesome that is. Yeah, it gets better. It'll get much better, even if you like it already. Just got done talking college football. I'm kind of going around the map here and looking around the landscape, exploring the topography, and pointing out what it is that I like or dislike in the world of sports over the past weekend. Just got done talking about Notre Dame losing to Arizona State, how good of a win that was for Arizona State, how bad of a loss that was for Notre Dame, and that even though the experts have them out, they have an upward hill to climb, but it's not necessarily impossible. That is for the college football playoff committee to decide. In the meantime, though, we'll move on here with more football. And I want to span the globe with the NFL, but I also want to take a moment to talk to you about my fantasy team, at least the one that I've been actively working on. I'm in an alumni league with my old school, or not an alumni league. It's one division of alumni and another division of students that are still there that was put together by another alumni. But I have been... That one has been going well, but the one I really follow is the league I've been in with my father for years, and I've always been trying to get back to the championship. I got there like the first year and lost thanks to Brian Westbrook. End of the season, it was the championship game. They switch out, then rest players at the end of the year, especially when you clinch a playoff spot. Yeah, I made that mistake. I'm sure you have too. Has this happened to you where you only have one or two performers that just have big performances, but everybody else is single digits, so you still lose? That happened to me last night. My players are done for the week. I don't have any Panthers or Eagles on the slate, but my opponent does. And so going into today, they are ahead by 1 point. That means that no matter what Jordan Matthews does, my opponent has already won. And that is despite a 53-point performance from Aaron Rodgers and 24 points from a returning Calvin Johnson off of injury. And then I also got 12 from the Seahawks defense, but that is you're already spot at 15 points in my league on defense coming into the game. So to have 12 means that you had a net of -3. So not good on that end. I mean, if the Seahawks just played along the line and held the line and kept those 15 points, I possibly could have had a chance. But no. My lineup consisted of Aaron Rodgers, those 53 points, because he had such a great game. I was hoping he went ahead and got that 7th touchdown, but Mike McCarthy, he didn't want his guy to get hurt, I understand. Running back was Bobby Rainey from Tampa Bay. I just needed somebody to hold me over because a lot of my regular guys, your Alfred Morris, your Shane Vereen's, they all had bye weeks. So I had needed somebody to fill in, and I got Bobby Rainey. I brought in a hobbled Lamar Miller, who was not going to have a lot of time anyways out there on the field because he's recovering from an injury, and they have a Thursday night game coming up, if I remember correctly. Who are my receivers? I had Alshon Jeffrey. He did what he could. He had like 9 points, but his quarterback sucks now. I guess he doesn't feel like being a good quarterback anymore. So Jeffrey only got 9 points. The one touchdown that quarterback was able to throw, it was to Brandon Marshall, his friend, not to Alshon Jeffrey. So I missed out on that. I'm going off of memory here. Calvin Johnson, of course, a beautiful performance, wasted. And then my third receiver, can't remember. I really wish it was T.Y. Hilton. That would have been great. I was trying to go off of the head here instead of having to go and check because I know this is already nerve-wracking enough. Oh, Eric Decker from the Jets. That was the third receiver who I also brought in because I needed somebody to fill in for the week, and I didn't trust Doug Baldwin's status, who I picked up the previous week. I needed help with the receiving core here to just tide myself over the bye week. I got 5 guys on bye, so I had to make do. I had to do what I could. And I ended up with, like I said, 53 from Aaron Rodgers, 24 from Calvin Johnson, 12 from the Seahawks defense. Everybody else had single-digit points. Just awful. Just scraping the bottom of the barrel. Infuriating. None of the teams that I enjoy or like have performed at an optimal level, apparently, as of late. That's really what it comes down to. So, the thing is, the division that I'm in this fantasy league is much like the NFC South. I am tied for first, but I am a game below 500. I will be 4-6 coming into this next week. And I'm pretty sure that is still good enough for second place. So, all is not lost. And, you just got to go out there, put your best lineup out on the field or out on, your lineup online and just hope for the best, because that's really all this is. It's just calculated luck. But calculated luck has not gone in my favor. I have been pitching below 500 football, online stat-based football. And even though it's online stat-based football, it's still not the best feeling in the world. Are you also feeling my pain? Let me know. I'll be your shoulder to cry on at Simms Coliseum on Twitter, or on the Simms Coliseum Facebook page, or on Tumblr. Of course, that's simmscoliseum.tumblr.com. I always get the Tumblr URL mixed up in terms of how it's supposed to be formatted. It's simmscoliseum.tumblr.com. So even if you know what Tumblr is, you'll spell it right, you'll find it, no problem. Around the NFL, the main story that I'm thinking about here as I had looked around the scores before the show today was the Arizona Cardinals. I was going to say Carolina. They play tonight. But the Arizona St. Louis game and the 31-14 beatdown that the Cardinals put on the Rams, in spite of their quarterback, Carson Palmer, going down with what they very much fear and what a lot of people very much expect is a torn ACL. So sad, man, because this happened to him last time in Cincinnati when he signed a big contract and big things were expected because he was playing so well, and boom, an ACL injury. I'm thinking maybe moving forward, if Carson Palmer can make it through this and if he keeps playing past his contract, maybe you should just sign him to short deals. Just sign him to short, lucrative deals, and you guys can renew each year, because it seems like anytime he gets a deal and these teams commit to him, boom, he goes down. Now, luckily for the Cardinals, it seems their backup, Drew Stanton, was also doing very good for himself at the starting quarterback position anyways, because Carson Palmer was injured earlier in the season. So Drew Stanton is now going to be the guy until Carson Palmer comes back, if he comes back at all. And it doesn't, a lot of people are thinking that it's not going to be much of a change in terms of production, because Stanton was already doing well. The team is still 8-1. So I'm hoping that they don't miss a step. I'm hoping the Arizona Cardinals get their shot here, because the Cardinals, even going back to their St. Louis days, they were never really much of a good team. Quite honestly, they don't have much of a history of being good. They made the Super Bowl in recent history. They've had some playoff appearances, but for the most part, the Cardinals were always the butt of jokes. And they have a really good lineup and a really good coach that the Bears should have hired, but did not because they're stupid. So they are playing out of their mind there in Arizona, and I just want to see that keep going. I don't want the magic to end. The magic. And apparently it won't. But that's really the story that stuck out to me. Everybody else, for the most part, handled their business. The Seahawks handled the Giants. The Broncos handled the Raiders. The Falcons handled the Buccaneers. Not as bad as last time, but still beat them. The Jets upset the Steelers. That was a big surprise. Michael Vick was able to throw 2 touchdowns, and then he also surpassed 6,000 yards. So it was a big day for him. Too bad none of those 2 touchdowns went to Eric Decker. He threw him some bones in the second half. Decker was able to get 3 catches, but throughout much of the first half, Eric Decker was shut out. That annoyed me. Grr. Ravens handled the Titans, no problem. The overtime game between the 49ers and Saints, that one was impressive. It went down to the wire. Though neither of those teams have anything to hang their heads on. The Saints at least, because they were the ones that lost. But they showed out there. They did the best that they could, but the 49ers just got the best of them. Like that happens in life. The Lions and Dolphins game was rough to watch. A lot of field goals, but a tight game as well. Cowboys go to beat up Britain's team, the Jacksonville Jaguars, 31-17. Romo looks just fine. Anybody looks fine against the Jaguars. Blake Bortles actually looked presentable. He didn't score any touchdowns. Those were both to former Wolverine Denard Robinson, 15 carries for 60 yards. Cecil Shorts coming off of an injury. He's been questionable at times throughout the season. He had a huge game, 5 receptions for 119 yards there. And then the Chiefs able to handle the Bills. 17-13. The Bills have a pretty good defense, and the Chiefs they never look for them to blow out anybody. You just look for them to get the win. So that was pretty much the NFL Sunday. Pretty ho hum. I'm sure if you did a pick 'em and you didn't go against the grain, then you probably did okay for yourself. So pat yourself on the back, congratulate yourself. Unless you are the Bears, then you have a lot of work to do. And I am going to be very mad at you throughout this week. You better not lose this bad to Minnesota. You better not. I wish you would. It's the Raymond Simms Show on the Coliseum Sports Network. Raymond Simms Show here, top of hour number 2. Glad that you're joining me for it here live on Spreaker.com or in archived on demand form on Spreaker.com and the Coliseum Sports Network YouTube page. That is youtube.com/user/Coliseum Sportsnet. Whole lot of other fun stuff over there on that page, including a baseball tournament from over the summer and a couple of basketball games that I did earlier. Going to be doing some more very soon, but the part I'm working on in my project for the basketball teams is called the United Basketball Clubs. Making some changes to it And then I'm going to start adding some more games there and catching up with the real-time schedule of the world as I'm supposed to be. But that more games are going to be coming to the Coliseum Sports Network YouTube page, and then also more coverage of it, just period, day-to-day coverage, you can find at SimmsColiseum.com. So you don't have to check it out now. There's not really much going on there, but if you just want to give me the page views, I'm all for it. But it will be ready very, very soon, making big strides with that particular project. Speaking of basketball, some NBA talk here in the second hour. Hey, guys, check it out. Look, check this out, man. The Lakers did a thing. They won a game. Can you believe that? That's crazy, right? What? Yes, the Lakers beat the Hornets 107-92. In front of 18,997 fans. That's the official number. That would be a sellout at Staples Center. So apparently people are still going, are still paying to go. That's paid attendance. Because, why wouldn't you announce paid attendance? They don't have to show up. Just give us the money. So, yes, they registered a sellout, as far as I know. Yes, that is the correct number for Staples Center. Attendance, Lakers attendance, that is. There's a few more seats there for Clippers games. But the Lakers out there playing like a professional team. Kobe Bryant had 21 points, and he was not even the leading scorer in the whole game. He actually tied on his team with Jeremy Lin, who also had 21 points. Check that out. Lin's sanity is apparently back, man. And then Al Jefferson was the one that led all scores with 23. But let's talk about the Lakers here. Let's focus on the Lakers. The Hornets, they're good. They're going to be good. They're going to be in the playoffs. It's going to be fun to watch them and all that. And Steve Clifford is an awesome coach. He's great at what he does. But let's talk about the Lakers. You got to accentuate the negative sometimes. So you got 4 Lakers in double digits. 4. That's 3 more than you would expect, because you would expect it to be Kobe and that he would have 50 and everybody else would be struggling for the field, and Kobe would have 50 points on 52 shots, In this case, Kobe has 21 points on 21 points on 20 shots from the field, and he went to the line, has 7 opportunities, made 6 of them. Always remember, kids, hit your free throws. Even the Lakers, who are struggling, hit 77% of their free throws. They went out there, and most of them did what they had to do. So you have Lin and Bryant, both with 21. You have Carlos Boozer with 16. Which isn't too much of a surprise. He's more than capable of putting up big numbers. That was never the problem in Chicago. It was the fact that he would just stuff his stat sheet and then not play any defense. Even when he tried, he's just not a good defender, which says something, because Coach Tibbs is so good at coaching defense. Well, Byron Scott doesn't really accentuate defense in the same way exactly. So Carlos Boozer can go out and roam free. And in this case, he got his 16 and he got his 5 rebounds, all on defense. Did not crash the glass at all. But he got his points. He got his. Only starter that didn't score double digits was Wesley Johnson, who in 35 minutes scored 5 points on 6 shots, including 1 of 2 from 3. But to pick up the slack, Ed Davis, in his bench role, had 10 points to his name, 10 points, 5 rebounds, 1 block. The thing about Ed Davis, I really like Ed Davis. I think that he's a very versatile power forward. He's got a lot of good movement, footwork. That's what the word I was looking for. It's he's got good movement. What does that even mean, Kobe Bryant? No, he has good footwork, and he's very imposing on defense. I'm sure that 1 block, you can actually look it up on NBA.com, so I'm going to do that, and I'm actually going to make a reminder of it right now. I'm sure that block was very fierce. I'm going to assume. I know that actually the last Lakers game I watched in full was against the Suns, and he did very good in that game too, and he put down a huge block. So I'm excited to see what this one looks like. I don't spoil it for me. If you choose to chat with me or choose to at me on Twitter, don't spoil it for me. I want to see how this block looks, and if I'm disappointed, I want it to be on my own merits. But it's Ed Davis, so I'm not going to, I don't think I'll be disappointed. And he shot efficiently, too. Hit all of his field goals that he put up. Couldn't hit his free throws the one time he went up to the line, but for the most part, hey, you just do what you can. He's a big man, and people, even though they don't expect big men to hit free throws. But yeah, Kobe Bryant is still trying to lead this team, and they finally get a win. Charles Barkley can eat a lot sooner than he thinks, and maybe this is just a huge renaissance, and they may very well play out of their mind. I mean, it works for the Thunder, doesn't it? Because the Thunder just got their second win of the season, knocking off what was the surging Sacramento Kings to the tune of 101-93. Despite DeMarcus Cousins getting 16 points and 7 boards, and despite Rudy Gay getting 23 and 10 on the night, it was just a all-around team effort from the 9 volunteers who showed up for the Thunder. Reggie Jackson led the way for 22 points, and this was after reports of Reggie Jackson being frozen out by Kendrick Perkins and Serge Ibaka for reasons I don't know. I don't understand why they chose to freeze him out, and what I mean by freeze out, or at least what I got from the report, is that whenever Kendrick or Serge would make a rebound, they would not give the ball to Reggie Jackson. I don't understand that when there's only 4 of you on the court and you need scoring, and you're not the ones that's going to be scoring. Serge Ibaka actually had a pretty good night tonight, but when you're not looked to score, and Serge Ibaka cannot create his own shot, that's just not how he operates. I don't know why you would freeze out the one big scoring option, because, I mean, hey, their original scoring options were going to be Reggie Jackson or Perry Jones. And Perry Jones is out with a right knee contusion. So all you have is Reggie Jackson, and you're freezing him out. I found that just so incredibly stupid. But I think things have turned around. I think they had apparently talked it out anyways. And Reggie Jackson, he got all of the points. 22 points, 6 assists. Also had a couple of rebounds in there. He almost ended up, he was in foul trouble though. He had 4 fouls. But for the most part, Reggie Jackson went out there and led the way, as many people felt he was called upon to do. And hey, more power to him. Serge Ibaka, like I said, he actually had a good game. 14 points on 9 rebounds and 4 blocks. Just big blocks. While he can't create his own shot, he can block somebody. And that's exactly what he did when he was out there for Oklahoma City. The second leading scorer, though, I think the big name is Jeremy Lamb. So Jeremy Lamb was one of the many walking dead for the Thunder, but he comes back off of injury, and he plays very well, and man, is Reggie Jackson going to need that. So now there's not just one scoring option, but it's 2, just like it usually is all the other times. They're more proficient scorers in Russell Westbrook and Kevin Durant, but hey, this will have to do for now because both of those guys are hurt. And then the other surprise scoring option, Perry Jones, is also hurt. And Anthony Morrow, who's supposed to come off the bench and shoot a lot of threes, is hurt. So you got to do what you can. Any guards that come back is great because they'll be able to create their own shots and score points and distribute the ball. And Reggie Jackson and Jeremy Lamb are looking to handle the scoring load here. As is Sebastian Telfair, who comes off the bench, 14 points in 17 minutes. That's pretty good. He had to take a lot of shots to get to it. Shot 5 threes, 12 total field goals to get those 14 points. But, hey, still impressive just to see how the Thunder are clawing at these victories. And is also particularly interesting considering that Mark Cuban of the Mavericks suggested that maybe the Thunder should tank anyways. He said this, I don't know what day it was, very recent, of course. According to this ESPN report, it was just before the Mavericks hosted the Heat. So, whatever day that was, I lost track of all which games were played which days over the course of the weekend. But it was yesterday. Okay, it was yesterday. Mark Cuban suggesting that the Thunder tank. He said, I quote, "The question I don't think anybody has asked is, why don't they," referring to the Thunder, "pull a David Robinson and try to get Tim Duncan?" What he's referring to is in 96-97 when David Robinson got hurt at the beginning of the year. The team plodded along as best as they could without him. Then he came back, and then he got hurt again, and they just sat him out for the rest of the year. A lot of people say they tanked the season just so they could get Tim Duncan. They got Tim Duncan. The rest is history. So Mark Cuban just throwing that out there to the Oklahoma City Thunder. I'm not saying, I'm just saying. Funny thing about that is that the Mavericks, at least if all the players were healthy, the Mavericks were going to have to face the Thunder at some point maybe for playoff contention. I mean, they are teams that are close to each other. It could be a lot of animosity there between the players, at least. I'm sure Mark Cuban was saying that very lightheartedly, but it's just funny that a manager in the owner in the region is suggesting that a Western Conference rival tank a season. Just throwing it out there for that team to tank the season. I'm sure he would like that very much. But Scott Brooks, he was informed of the comments, and he just laughed it off. He said, "That's funny though, but no, we've got a good group of guys in here. It's fun going into games knowing we're going to play with great effort, that we're going to be throwing our bodies all over the floor, that we'll be diving on the floor for loose balls." I assume. I don't know if that was left out in the copy or if he didn't say balls. And that's what our fans want to see. They understand we've had a lot of injuries. They know it, but they like what the guys are doing. They like that the guys are competing. That's what makes fans proud of our group. I don't know. Reading that quote, there was some misspellings there, and I have a feeling that Scott Brooks was not the one that misspelled it or left out words. Somebody needs to go through there and edit that, but I know that I've noticed in magazines that editing is not as common as I would think it would be. There's a lot of online articles where I see misspellings or words left out. Like, I do it myself, but I'm just me, like, doing my own thing. I don't have an editor to check up on me. These guys do. I feel like they should improve on that. But this just made me run over the rest of the time on my segment. All that to say, interesting. Mark Cuban, a Western Conference rival, would suggest that they tank the season. I'm sure that he would be very happy with his Mavericks taking up that one extra playoff spot that he would hope the Thunder would relinquish. But the Thunder going out there, playing hard, even despite the circumstances. And you got to respect that. They go out there and get their second win of the season. And they're probably just going to keep chipping away until Kevin and Russell come back. And they'll probably be in the playoff picture. Sea Bears, even when you're in bad shape, you still try. I'm just saying. It's the Raymond Simms Show on the Coliseum Sports Network. Raymond Simms Show here on Spreaker.com on the Coliseum Sports Network. Hey guys, be sure to tune in on Friday the 14th. It will be the first day of college basketball season, and that will be my 2-hour college basketball preview show. Just 2 hours of me verbalizing my ideals about how the college basketball season is going to go. I'm going to be covering an array of topics. Still don't have it in cement yet, but it's pretty much going to be dealing with top 25 teams in the big five major conferences and some of the mid-majors. I'm trying to cover the whole map. I got 2 hours to do it, to go all around the world of sports, so I'm going to do the best that I can to do so. That will be on Friday here on Spreaker.com and the Coliseum Sports Network. You can catch that 11 Eastern, 8 Pacific, 10 Central, 6 p.m. in South Africa. Don't ask me why I know that. I just got done talking a little bit about the NBA. Two amazing things, the Lakers winning and the Thunder winning as well, but for two different reasons. The Lakers just aren't a good team. The Thunder are a good team, suffering from an completely absurd amount of injuries. The Bulls play tonight, and I'm during the breaks, I'm kind of cobbling in my head how the schedule is supposed to go for me today. I'm thinking, because, there's Monday Night Football, which I'm not as invested in, between the Eagles and Panthers. I don't know. It could be a good game. It might not be. I don't know if I'm going to watch. On NBA TV tonight at 6:30, they have the Hawks and the Knicks. Might just catch that because it's an out-of-market game. You don't want to... Even though my show can veer towards talking about Chicago, I don't want it to be completely bogged down in Chicago sports. So I want to take it easy and maybe pull the curtain back and look at some other games that happen. So Hawks Knicks seems about as good as anyone to check out, but the Bulls do play tonight, so I might watch that as well. So I got options, man. I got options. And you all do as well. Pistons come to town against the Bulls. The Bulls coming off of a loss to the Boston Celtics. I'm not in a position to get mad at the Bulls. It was a close game, actually. They fell behind for much of the game, but they were able to fight back, and there was a chance in the end. Just didn't work out. Ran out of time. Derrick Rose was out again. I guess they're resting his ankles, which are sprained. So it's not like he's out for the season. It's really just a matter of, is he going to play? Is he not? It seems like Thibodeau is really going with the Popovich method for Derrick Rose. He's trying to rest him for the playoffs, so he's not putting him in every single game. He seems to only be putting him in one half of a back-to-back. That's kind of the pattern that has been picked up by the Chicago sports media. So that must be the move, and I can't necessarily begrudge it. So I'm not going to really get mad about it. The team has been going out there. They've been fighting. They've been playing the best they can, and they're still 5-2 in the East. And in the NBA, especially during the regular season, any team can beat anybody on any given day. That's kind of a beauty behind it. A lot of people don't think that to be the case, but it is for a lot of reasons. Scheduling reasons, playing down to your opponent. Maybe that team just happens to be better on that day. Maybe they prepared better. It can go a number of ways. It really just so happens that usually the cream rises to the top. So, but still, for the Celtics to beat the Bulls, I think that's a good win for them, and just a not so great loss for the Bulls. But it's not earth-shattering. There's many more games where that came from. They have, doing the rough math here, 75 more games to go. So, hey, it's a marathon, not a sprint. I'm not about to be outraged about a loss to the Celtics. I don't think I would at any point in the season, quite honestly. I'll be surprised. I'll be like, how'd you lose to the Magic? Or how'd you lose to the 76ers? Or how'd you lose to the Pistons? But I'd be surprised. I don't think I'd be completely angry unless the team just went out there and played flat. If the Pistons or the 76ers, or in this case the Celtics, they go out there and they give their all, and you're trying to give your all, and it's just not there, because it happens. Just rough games just happen. Or the team gives 100%, and it throws you off, even if you weren't playing down to them. Their 100% just might be a little more than your 100% in that one game. It happens. Just as long as the Bulls don't lay down, and giving up is just not in this team's vocabulary, or Coach Thibodeau will probably have them just running laps around the United Center for like the next 3 weeks. So I'm not worried. Maybe I should be. I don't know. I know the Blackhawks have been kind of struggling as of late. Not worried about them. I'm just mad at the Bears. And everybody, by comparison, I'm giving them the benefit of the doubt because the Bears have just been so atrocious. But just to get back to the NBA talk, the Pistons have it's been an interesting first couple of months here for Stan Van Gundy and his tenure in Detroit. He's doing what he can. I really think he is an awesome coach, and I want him to do well. He's trying. Lord knows he's trying. His team is 2-4 right now. If the playoffs were to start today, they just throw that out that early. I'm probably not the first one, believe it or not, to even throw that line out there. There's probably other people that threw out that line on the first day when their awful team had their first win. But if the playoffs started today, Detroit would be on the outside looking in, half game behind Milwaukee, who's in the A spot. But, man, I'm sure this has just been a huge wake-up call here for Stan Van Gundy and how much work he has. It's a lot of it's a mess. It's a lot of question marks. Will Josh Smith stop taking inefficient shots? Will Brandon Jennings, learn to distribute the ball better and pretty much take more efficient shots as well? Will the team come together? It's a lot of questions, a lot of work for Stan Van Gundy to do, but I believe that he has the wherewithal to turn things around in Detroit, even if that does not include these big contracts that some of these players have on that team. So I'm not worried about that. Who knows what Detroit Piston team is going to come out there on the floor for the Bulls? And honestly, who knows what Bulls team is going to come out there on the floor in the literal sense in terms of personnel? I would not be surprised if they had Derek sit out this one. I mean, it is the Pistons, but at the same time, you never know what other players might sit out. But it seems like whoever it is, next man up, they've done a great job. Aaron Brooks has really pulled through as the backup guard for Derrick Rose. Kurt Heinrich is also supposed to be a backup guard. He's much better in small doses as he was always intended to be. Like I used to be all for Kirk Heinrich, and then he ticked me off during the playoff run. But to be honest, he was not designed to start. So now he's back in a backup role, and he's doing very good. And I've been very pleased with what he's been doing. So at the point guard position in the regular season, they seem to have things covered. It's just a matter of will or won't Derek play in these games. And I think it's wise. He did not play against did he play against Philadelphia? I don't even remember. I would be surprised if he did. Philadelphia's out here. They're just struggling, man. Lost 120-88 in Toronto. It's got to be rough for Philly. They're now 0-7. They are the last team standing in terms of winless streak. So they are in for a rough stretch too, because I know they have some tough teams coming up next. They have the Mavericks next on Thursday. Okay, that's Thursday, but not the one covered by TNT. Boy, did I get scared. They have the final part of their road trip goes through Texas. They started their road trip yesterday in Toronto, lost 102-88. They will now go on the road, Dallas, Houston, San Antonio. Just hit the triangle, the Texas triangle pretty much, and before coming home to Boston. So yeah, that's probably 3 more losses right there. But is anybody really surprised about that? I know a lot of people in Philadelphia have been resigned to the fact that this team is bad, but you got to respect what they're doing in terms of, again, playing hard every night. And maybe it's easier for them to play hard every night early in the season. But at the same time, these guys are playing for jobs, so I guess that might help as well. Tony Roten, ever since the Washington days, I've struggled with the name. Tony Roten he's really come through as the big star for this team. He's the only guy averaging 20-plus points a game. He's at 21.9. Brandon Davies is behind him, and that's off the bench, mind you. Davies has only made 2 starts, but he's averaging 10 points a game, which is something else, really. I mean, to have a man off the bench averaging more than almost all of your starters, that's crazy. That's pretty crazy, man. Hollis Thompson, he's had a rough season so far, though he's been looked at to develop into a better player. Henry Simms up front, he's trying, bless his heart. He leads the team in rebounding with about 6.5. He's out here, man. He's trying. All of them are. Tony Roten, the main thing that he's had to work on from last season is putting up more efficient shots. And lately, he's getting better. He's shooting 44% and 36% from 3, so just below average. He's doing just enough to be about average in terms of shooting. That's really what the Sixers are in for here. They're 0-7, probably about to go 0-10. We'll have more after this here. It's the Raymond Simms Show on the Coliseum Sports Network. Raymond Simms Show on the Coliseum Sports Network. Just got done talking about a lot of stuff, honestly, but mostly focused on the Bulls, the Pistons, and the 76ers. Got one more team for you here in this penultimate segment of today's show, and that is the Cleveland Cavaliers. They have not played since Friday. They play tonight. They are at New Orleans, to my understanding, so they'll be taking on the Pelicans. I know they're taking on the Pelicans, but they're in Cleveland tonight. Okay. So that'll be at 7 o'clock Eastern. If you want to check that out, that should be available on League Pass. The Cavaliers looked a lot better on Friday at Denver than we have seen them in the past couple of days. They shared the ball. Like they passed it around from going from 6 in Utah to 25 in Denver. So altitude not making a difference there. They were able to share the ball no problem. Man, and it was a thing of beauty. They ended up winning the game over Denver 110-101, but that score was not really indicative of how that game actually went. The game was actually decided much earlier. The Nuggets tried to make a late comeback, but the Cavaliers were able to keep the Nuggets at arm's reach. LeBron James goes out there, gets a double-double, 22 points, 11 rebounds, 7 rebounds, 11 assists. That's where he got the double part of it from. And he went out there and he shared the ball a little more than Kyrie Irving, but Kyrie still shared the ball. 12 points, 6 assists. Good on him. If you're a point guard, you're supposed to do point guard things. There was still NBA analysts out there. I just couldn't agree with them. And they were saying, hey, Kyrie's just more of a scoring point guard. That's fine, but he's a scoring point guard. He can get his 34 points. I will never begrudge a man from getting his buckets, but he's also supposed to assist and distribute the ball. And to ask of a scoring point guard to get 6 assists, I am more than happy than this. About 3 to 6 range rather. That's where I'm good. I'm happy with him coming out of a game with about that many assists per game. I'm okay with that. But you cannot have 34 points and no assists as a point guard. I understand that, sometimes you pass the ball and it's not counted as an assist. But in the course of a 48-minute game, you need to pick up some assists from somewhere by accident or something. And people were trying to defend Kyrie, even though last season, in that tumultuous season that the Cavaliers had, where they were supposed to at least compete for a playoff spot, but they missed out again. The fewest that Kyrie ever had in a game in terms of assists was 2. That was his minimum. Even when he had bad assist games, he was still able to dole out at least a couple of assists, some pocket change. He had none against Utah. That is the crawl. That's sticking in me, man. But he was able to turn it around. Didn't have to score as much. He had 12.6 assists. There were seven different Cavaliers in double digits. LeBron James leading the way with his 22, followed by Kevin Love with his 19, Verjao with his 15, Kyrie and Tristan Thompson with 12 each. Oh, Deion Waiters, he has 17 in 24 minutes. Check him out, coming off the bench there. So that was up in the order somewhere. You got to find it somewhere. And then Sean Marion had his 10 too. So it was still an 8-man rotation, pretty much, which I find weird early on in the season. Will Cherry and Joe Harris got some minutes, but otherwise James Jones, Alex Kirk, and Brendan Haywood were pretty much left out of the deal. Brendan Haywood's not so surprising, because he's an old guy, a very old center, and you already kind of have a depth chart of Verjao and then Thompson coming in if you need some front court help. So that's not particularly surprising. But Alex Kirk and James Jones being left out is surprising to me too, when they're sitting there on the bench active and ready to go, at least according to the box score. And then you call up Will Cherry from Canton. It's like, he's here. You can use him. But I think the problem is that David Blatt is just trying to figure out his rotation moving forward. He's really trying to get a feel for who his most reliable guys are. And the 8 that he keeps trotting out there, Love, Marion, James, Verjao, Irving, Thompson, Miller, Waiters, are kind of those guys that he thinks he can rely on in terms of a consistent rotation. Maybe Coach Blatt will start expanding his active roster, or start expanding his active rotation for the regular season, because these guys are going to need some rest at some point. These are athletes, but they're not young guys for the most part, like your Sean Marions and your LeBron and who else on this roster? Mike Miller. Those guys aren't the spryest, so I'm thinking that eventually you're going to need to start resting them fairly soon. LeBron is a cut above the rest of us, but I think that David Blatt needs to expand his rotation somewhat, at least at some point in this season, because you got 8 active players on the bench. Why not use all of them? especially early in the season. I understand that Black might want to set a tone, and like I said, he's trying to set his rotation, but at the same time, there comes a point called fatigue, and you don't want Cleveland running out of gas when they already got enough problems trying to figure out each other anyways. The Denver Nuggets, on the other hand, are now 1-4. They are not a very good team, which surprises me, sort of. I mean, some of the picks that their GM was making, like Jusuf Nurkic, I don't know what he was thinking. I don't know what made them think that was a good idea to pick him up. I'm trying to think, did they select him or did they get him in the trade from Chicago? I think they traded for that pick and ended up picking him. That's what happened there. Yeah, that's what happened. They picked Doug McDermott, gave him to the Bulls, had that picked Jusuf Nurkic. He has not been the best out there. I saw, if you haven't seen it, there is a Vine going around, or a video, I'm sure NBA.com probably has it, where he gets the inbound and fumbles it and struggles with it as if he's never gotten an inbound pass before. And a lot of people are also pointing out a lot of his flaws out there. But hey, he's a raw prospect. It might get better. You never know, I guess. No production out of Kenneth Faried, only 8 points. He got 7 boards, but he was just not there, and that's something considering how powerful he was during the World Cup. I really thought that he was going to show out for Denver this year, but just I guess taking on Kevin Love, he just couldn't find his footing there, and he was stifled pretty much with only 8 points and 7 rebounds. It's hard to find out who's really supposed to be scoring here. I mean, Nate Robinson he was a spark for Chicago. He really got things going. He's coming off of an injury too. So when he was out, I could really only imagine who on this roster is supposed to create their own shot and score. But now Nate Robinson's back, and he's going to be hype as ever. He got his 14 points. Wilson Chandler also had 14. Randy Foye had 28 coming off of the bench, including 5 threes. But for the most part, I mean, I'm not surprised looking at this roster. And I feel bad, too, because Brian Shaw, believe it or not, used to be one of my favorite players during the 2000 Lakers dynasty, the early one. Him coming off the bench, I thought he was awesome, man. I thought it was cool. He played for all those teams and stuff. And I don't know. I just thought he was cool. I tend to be a fan of role players. So when he got passed over for the Lakers job, and the Lakers going with Mike D'Antoni, I was upset about that. I thought that was unfair. And he was just sitting there as an assistant in Indiana. But eventually he got his shot here in Denver. And I don't know what he's supposed to work with here. I'm sure he's doing his best. His first season didn't go as well. I know Andre Miller was giving him a hard time. They finally shipped him off. So you got a mostly young roster here that has to develop to become anything worthwhile here. I'm glad Aaron Aflalo's back. He's a very good utility guy for any team, really. But now he comes to use his services on the Nuggets again. He went 0 for 4 on Friday, but he had 5 rebounds. So he went out there. He still tried to scrap, but he just couldn't bring any offensive production. Yeah, when you look at it, seems like it's easier for me these days to find the have and have-nots in certain sports, and the Nuggets just seem to be have-nots. But I feel like at the same time, this is the type of roster that could surprise some people. If they could really get a system going, they could reel off some wins. If they work together and play with some synergy, they could really make a run at like one of the lower playoff spots. But I don't think they have that in them, at least not right now. Especially when you got a guy like when you're starting Aaron Aflalo, who comes up with 0 points in place of Randy Foye, who has to come off the bench and get his 28 that way. This team just doesn't seem in the best of shape. Maybe I'll try to run a franchise with them on NBA 2K. I don't know. I've been trying to figure out, I've been working on UBC stuff, so my free time has pretty much been kaput. and then also just working on stuff in general for this network. My free time's kaput. But at some point, I want to start, I want to get back into the association mode on my 2K. Play some games, do some management, get the brain working and stuff, get the hand-eye coordination going. But I don't know what team to pick. I was thinking Celtics because I want to help Brad Stevens out. I really liked him as a coach at Butler, and I really want him to succeed with the Celtics. I don't want him to just be out of the league. I don't want him to be on that list of college coaches that didn't work out, because I think he has a chance. He could really do something with that team, presented with the right players. Same thing with Brian Shaw here. But I don't know. I want to pick a team where I like their uniforms. I want to pick a team where I like their arenas, because I'm going to have to play with this team. I want to play, every game on the schedule. I'm going to have to deal with them over the course of a whole year. So I want to be able to put up with the uniforms and the uniform choices. That's kind of the big thing for me. And I guess the Nuggets might be a good choice. I always loved those rainbow uniforms they had with the Tetris skyline that they had on their jersey. That was always fun. And the fact that their alternate jersey harkens back to that, that's pretty cool too. So maybe I'll go with the Nuggets, because I'm looking at this roster, and this just looks like it needs a revitalization. It's no Sixers. I don't want to pick a team that's obviously bad like the 76ers. And I tried to do the Lakers last year, but I ran out of time with that. I still have 2K14, but I moved on. I'm a new man now. I have a new game. I have a new video game. I have 2K15 now. I'm a new man. I don't want to pick the Lakers this year because they're so obviously bad. So maybe the Nuggets. I never know. I have to think about it, and maybe you can give me suggestions at Simms Coliseum on the Simms Coliseum Facebook page, or simscoliseum.tumblr.com. You can hit my Ask box and give me suggestions about teams to run in franchise mode on NBA 2K, on association mode on NBA 2K. Not picking the Bulls, and I don't want to pick a team that's too great. But we'll talk about that on the other side, in addition to some other odds and ends, after a quick break. We're in the home stretch here. It's the Raymond Simms Show on the Coliseum Sports Network. Raymond Simms Show here on the Coliseum Sports Network. Glad that you could join me here for this Monday. Reeling from the Bears' loss. A lot of the city is, so glad that you kept me company here for this past couple of hours. Well, pretty much hour and change. It's not the full 2 hours just yet. I just got done pretty much talking about the NBA for this hour, and I talked about the NFL and college football in the previous hour. So now, just some odds and ends here to wrap things up on this Monday. Some stuff to think about maybe going through the week. Like I had advertised earlier in the show, college basketball preview, top 25 teams, big 5 teams, mid-majors. I'm covering as much of it that I can in 2 hours on Friday, 11 Eastern, 10 Central, 8 Pacific, here on the Coliseum Sports Network and Spreaker.com. So be sure to check it out. If you miss anything, don't worry. This is available on demand on Spreaker.com and on demand at the Coliseum Sportsnet YouTube page. That's youtube.com/user/Coliseum Sportsnet. Got all these websites. Got to make sure I get them all out. Make sure that you guys know where to go to find all of this stuff. Forgot what I was going to talk about. Oh, well, no. It wasn't about the college basketball preview, but I'm very excited about that because I've been just diving into books and stuff. Just the other day, I was comparison shopping different college basketball preview magazines. I was trying to see which ones have more information, which ones, just have more flash and style and stuff. And I almost went ahead and picked up one of them, but then I realized, wait a second, I have the internet. I need to pay for this. So I did not. I used to have a habit when I was younger, like in high school and stuff, when I did not have, when I did not have my own laptop. There was a time when I did too, but I just didn't. I did not utilize it for sports previews. I would buy preview magazines, NBA preview magazines, baseball preview magazines, and I would not always read them. Like, I'd buy it with the expectation that I would read it cover to cover. I would never get all the way through over the course of a given season. So I told myself I would stay away. I got pulled in when I stopped at a Barnes & Noble's earlier this week, and I almost got pulled in, almost bought one, almost broke down, but I was like, no, Ray, the internet is free for now. The president's supporting net neutrality, so it might still be, free for the meantime. And it's only relatively free. You still got to pay the internet bill, but you know what I mean. Like, you don't have to shell out $7 for information that's probably already outdated. But I thought about it. I was going to use that as one of my resources, but I think I'm just going to use the old interwebs for my research, going to each team, maybe reading up on the news and stuff about each team. So it's going to be really fun to just delve into that. But at the same time, I'm trying to get the UBC thing together so that when you go to SimmsColiseum.com, which is what this show is sponsored by, you'll actually see stuff. I'm trying to renovate it so that I can turn it into a day-to-day coverage of the fictional simulation leagues that I make up and run and stuff, so that I'm trying to, bring sports fiction to the internet. It's something like, there's a lot of good sports fiction books out there that can be read that you guys should check out, especially if you're a sports fan that likes to read books. I know there's a lot of you guys out there are sports fans that have been meaning to read books more often. That's me. I think you should. But at the same time, I don't see enough of that just online sports fiction. There's plenty of online leagues that do a good job of giving coverage, and I kind of want to hearken to that. But at the same time, it's just a story. Following a story, you get invested with its characters, and that's really what I want to do. And I thought I'd be able to do it by October 27th. I tried, I did not, so I'm making some changes for the better, and hopefully that the savings will be passed on down to you. Just some of my influences have been, there's something called the Simulation Football League. Check out www.simulationfl.com. They pretty much run what I'm trying to do, really. The only exception is that I'm just one guy doing it, as opposed to them being a whole league, kind of like a fantasy league doing it for them. Another league is called the Online World Basketball League. I think their URL is the OBWL.com. So they are the Online Basketball World League. Problem with that is that the website is going to be there for a while, but they, back in September, pretty much ceased operations. The guy who pretty much runs the thing, he has decided to move on with his life. So the rest of the people are kind of working together to make their own simulation league, which will probably have the same type of extensive coverage, which I think will be wonderful. So you can be sure to maybe look out for that if you're into that sort of thing, of following along with these types of things. Those are kind of my influences for what I'm trying to do. And, you can check out a finished product and a long-running product. The Simulation Football League, I think, has been at it for a couple of seasons. That's not counting some earlier incarnations that they did. And the Online Basketball World League, this one had only been around since 2011. But the guys who were in this, most of the guys that were in this, they were in another league that I can't remember its name now. Oh, my. But they were at that since 2001, and I remember stumbling across that site in 2002. So that's how long I've been following them. So those are kind of the shoulders of the giants of which I'm sitting upon, and that I'm hoping that my story can kind of reach a wide audience, and hopefully you guys will be able to enjoy that. So I'm working on that pretty much, but I'm making good strides with that, and I'm very proud of how that's going. Let's see, what else before I hit the road here? College basketball preview, UBC. I think that's about it. Just trying to get by here with the network, trying to make it as good as possible. When I am done with the work to get back on track, I will let you guys know on Twitter, on Facebook. Tumblr is probably not the site to go to for all the latest news, but a lot of the stuff that I post is automatically posted to Tumblr. It's really to go there for the pretty pictures and GIFs that I reblog, because they're all very much awesome. But otherwise, if you're looking to the Tumblr site for news, that's probably not the place to go, just to be honest. But yeah, just communicate with me on all of those, and you will be kept up to date on all the good stuff. I do have a car appointment to go to. Got to fix some outer marker bulbs. I hope that's all it is. I don't want it to be my tail lights. I'm not trying to get in trouble with that. But otherwise, that's pretty much enough out of me. 2 hours, I think, is enough talking. I'm sure you guys are already tired. But like I said, it was a rough loss for the Bears, and I'm powering through it. Hope the Bulls can get that victory tonight against Detroit. Hope your team wins as well, wherever you may be living. This has been the Raymond Simms Show on the Coliseum Sports Network. Like I said, check me out on Twitter at Simms Coliseum. Like the Facebook page. Go to simmscoliseum.tumblr.com. Ask me anything. Reblog all my pictures, just as long as you participate. Also be sure to log on to simmscoliseum.com for the best in sports fiction action. But until tomorrow, same time, same place, 11 Eastern, 10 Central, I'm Raymond Simms. Thank you for listening. This has been the Raymond Simms Show on Spreaker.com and the Coliseum Sports